Welcome, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the time in the meeting room. Now we're ready and we're here to start. So thank you so much for joining today. Before we kick off the real startup week and the event, just three things that I would like to tell you. So please, everyone that is listening today and visiting today, we're super happy to have you here. Just one thing for organizational reasons, please keep off your microphone and your camera so everyone can focus on the speakers today. Also, the session will be recorded for your information, that you will be recorded today in case you have any questions. And yeah, regarding questions, if you have any questions coming up today during the pitch, or you have questions in general to one of the speakers or about the topic, please collect them and keep them in mind, and don't ask them while we're presenting. At the very end of the presentation, we have a very generous time spot where we can answer all your questions, and yeah, then feel free to ask them and get in the conversation with us. We're actually super excited about that part of the presentation, where we can talk with you guys and exchange ideas. So get ready. I would immediately hand over to Thomas, who's here to kick off the Startup Week with all of you today. So welcome, Thomas.
Thanks, Lida, and good morning to everybody, and welcome to the opening session of our Open Corporate Innovation Space. We're pretty thrilled about that one. My name is Thomas Roth. I'm one of the managing directors of CGI Germany, and with the company for more than 25 years already. And as said, we're really delighted to be part of the Startup Week, not only as a signature partner, but with all the contributions we're making, especially during the next 2 days. Well, innovation, as you would expect, is a key element of our everyday work, because it's absolutely relevant for all our key three stakeholder groups. First of all, of course, for our clients, because they expect us at CGI to strengthen their competitive edge through new and innovative solutions and support that we provide on their transformation journeys. Second, to our members. And when I say members, that is our employees, but we call them members, as more than 85% of those are shareholders of CGI as well. And we're really fostering that entrepreneur spirit. Our members love to work on new and innovative solutions. Their passion is a great source of motivation and keeps them going. And you'll see that reflected not only in this session, but in the other sessions as well. And then last but not least, our shareholders, because being innovative and continuously developing new service offerings is obviously very crucial to our business success. And that is basically the key reason why we are a very active player also in the local innovation ecosystem in Düsseldorf for years already. As a very active member of the DigiHub, being involved in the Digital Demo Day, and of course, very much through our Unicorn Academy that you will see featured throughout the next 2 days as well, because that is really where we combine the founder spirit of startup companies with our profound knowledge on how to turn good ideas into mission-critical enterprise-grade business solutions. That approach creates and created already great synergies for everybody involved, and we're really very happy about that. So let's move on to the session at hand, and I think it's a great idea to kick it off with diversity matters, because it matters in fact. Throughout my career, I had and still have the privilege to work with a very diverse mix of colleagues, not only at CGI, but with clients across the globe. And I really value that a lot, because I'm gaining from that not only my professional experience, but in my private life. At CGI, when we talk diversity, we always combine it with equity and inclusion, because we think you can't do the one without the other. Actually, being treated with respect is one of our fundamental company values, and it's a mandatory foundation for any diversity, inclusion, and equity initiative. We are fully convinced that diverse teams are more creative, and that simply results in more and stronger innovation. And that's why we're dedicating this kickoff session to that subject. Diverse teams are, from my own perspective, also more fun to work with, and that is no offense to anybody. And it's a great source for especially strong social bonds between people, and people at the end of the day is what really matters. Therefore, in my view, it makes perfect sense to kick the innovation space off with that topic. I thank you all for joining in. I'm really thrilled about the next 2 days. And with that, let me hand it back to Lisa so that we get the session going.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Thank you so much for the introduction. So yeah, let's start. As you saw in the invite of the speak, you saw that today the Girl Gang welcomes you. So that's Steffi and me here in the call. And we will today tell you the story of the Girl Gang that we founded in CGI in Düsseldorf. And yeah, I'm super thrilled about your words, Thomas, because we will actually tell the story today of how we started with a Girl Gang. And today we're founding a gang that also includes all aspects of diversity and inclusion. So let's start. So in the very beginning, why at all did we decide to found a Girl Gang in Düsseldorf? We brought this image here of a book I personally really love because it's super funny. It is called How to Be Successful Without Hurting Men's Feelings. So you see, it's a book that is really smiley and not to be taken too serious, but it has a lot of really cool graphics. So one image in the book is this one, and so this is not what we discovered at CGI, but this is something that we see within the corporate world in general. So everyone in the Girl Gang that has joined us has a work experience before CGI. A lot of us coming from super traditional backgrounds like banks, insurances, or also the fashion world. So backgrounds that are really still quite male dominated and not having that many female leadership parts. So yeah, this image is something that all of us in the Girl Gang could resonate with, experience, saw with colleagues, and we think that this is an issue. So therefore, we decided to found the CGI Girl Gang, and we said we don't want this situation ever to happen at CGI. We want to create an environment where everyone feels welcome. We want to create an environment where we have just as many female leaders in the leadership as men, and we want to have the reputation, because everyone in the Girl Gang is young women who are super ambitious and who want to see a change in the world. So you see our slogan here that we started with when founding the Girl Gang, which means better for women, means better for all. We will come to that, back to that in a second. Maybe first introducing who is the Girl Gang. So who did we start with? Today the Girl Gang is way bigger than just the four of us. But these are the four faces that founded the Girl Gang in the very beginning. It's Ata, Steffi, Marta, and me. As I said, four young and ambitious women that were brought together by our sector head, who said, well, girls, I figured that all of you have a heart for this topic and you would all work great together, and maybe we can all tackle together diversity. So we're still super thankful for that till today. And today we are the Girl Gang. As you can see, only Steffi and me are here today. Ata and Marta unfortunately can't join, but anyways, they're great two women. I'm sorry they're not here, but they have great stories to tell. So if you want to hear their stories as well, just feel free to reach out to them. A few words about me before I hand over to Steffi, who will introduce herself. I joined the CGI Girl Gang, and I think the topic is really important due to several reasons. So first of all, I was always interested in feminism, coming from a, let's say, very conservative family. My family has Russian roots, and just to draw a picture for you, I can't even tell you how many exactly, but I have round about 10 cousins who are all girls. And none of my older cousins before me has ever studied, did her A-levels, and each and every single one of them married before the age of 22. And each and every one of them has 2 up to 4 kids today. And this is really, really great. And I think many of them make great choices in their life and live really fulfilling lives. The only thing that I will want to say is that me sitting here as an IT consultant is not what my family totally would expect from me. So I've always been some kind of a rebel, saying I don't want to marry, I don't even want to have kids, I want to work, I want to study, I went abroad to study. So this is my background. So unwillingly, I was confronted with feminism at a super young age, and had to deal with that topic, because I figured, well, this is something my family cannot tell me, so maybe I have to learn about it myself. Speaking diversity and about my family, the topic diversity is also something that is really an issue of the heart for me. My younger brother, who's my most favorite person in the world, he has Down syndrome. So from all my life remembering, I was surrounded by people with disabilities, and having up till today a lot of friends with disabilities because of my brother. I was super close to that community, and always had him and other persons with disabilities around me. So yeah, if you ever have questions in that direction, and I will also come back to that later, I'm also here for you. So the whole aspects of diversity are important for me, but maybe enough from my side for now. Steffi, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. And yeah, have fun.
Thank you, Lisa. Many thanks for introducing me. Well, a few words about my background, which is more or less quite ordinary compared to Lisa's. I started at CGI in the year 2018, and now I'm working as a senior consultant in the financial services sector. My background is, quite average for a girl who was raised in the 90s in Germany. My father was the single earner of my family, and my mom was staying at home caring for my sister and myself. So I was the first one in my family, or the first female person who studied and who came up with the idea to focus on a career. And even though this was quite new, my parents always supported the idea to study, and supported the idea to be able to have a career and concentrate on my job. But however, I felt somehow limited in the choice of my study and my future job, as I had a quite low self-confidence, and I was intimidated by subjects as the MINT subject, for example, and also thought that the resulting jobs would not fit to my talents. I always assumed that it would be a bit too challenging for someone like me to handle something related to the IT sector. So working as a project manager and service delivery manager for CGI today, so being an IT consultant, I would never ever say this again, and I would love to talk to my younger self and tell her that she should study whatever she likes. And this is my motivation to be a part of the Girl Gang. I want to motivate young females to go their own way, and to also be courageous enough to work in an area which has the prejudice to be reserved for men. And as Lisa just said, it's not only the two of us, but we have two other very empowered and ambitious young girls in our group, Arta and Marta. And we four founded the Girl Gang 3 months ago. Our statement is, as Lisa just mentioned, better for women is better for all. And the background of this statement is that we would like to create an environment for like-minded people where they can exchange their thoughts and experience in a space and with people who are probably facing the same issues as you, and talking about this issues and topics that you probably won't address with your direct manager. So our intention is to create a community where people can connect, and where everyone lifts the others as we race. So while we climb, we want to support our female colleagues and spread the knowledge we gained while climbing our career. So this is our intrinsic motivation of having the Girl Gang. And while founding this group and while working on our targets we set ourselves, we discovered that diversity goes beyond gender diversity and that our girl gang shouldn't be limited to only female colleagues, but this is something Lisa will explain later in detail. So what I will talk about is what we did until now to create such an inclusive environment. And the first thing we started with is something Lisa already set up before having our official girl gang. It is a lunch meeting that takes place every second week. So it's a regular meeting where ambitious women can exchange and talk about topics like, for example, how to own the room or how to present yourself, about self-branding and how to, place yourself in as a part of the company. And besides that, we organized our internal group according to 3 pillars, as we realized that we should focus on recruiting, which is the first pillar, to increase the share of female, but also, for example, female members, but for example, also physically disabled persons and so whatsoever. And the second pillar we discovered or identified is monitoring and coaching. And the third one is flexibility and family. So to start with, we decided to focus on recruiting and family and flexibility, as we have an overall initiative at CGI which focuses on mentoring and coaching already, which shows the effort CGI spends to ensure diversity and inclusion. So we thought we would start with recruiting and family and flexibility. The first thing we discovered is that we have an issue with our job ads, because like most of the companies, we are not focusing on formulating neutral job ads. So we started to talk to our HR colleagues who were very open-minded and friendly and supported our idea to find a neutral way of advertising our jobs. So background is that the common way of phrasing those texts in job advertisements are quite exclusionary. So wordings appear discouraging for certain groups, as for example, female candidates, applicants with different sexual orientations, or persons with physical handicaps. And the issue is that the common phrases which are used are mainly attracting male employees. And for this reason, we decided together with our HR colleagues to have a pilot with certain job ads to see whether we could change this and whether we could reach a broader candidate group when having our neutral formulated ads, and this will start soon. So we are really excited for the results of our pilot. Besides that, we also created a diversity guide where we summarize all the information we collected during the past month. For example, also those statistics about or outcomes, empirical outcomes about the necessity to phrase job ads in a neutral way to attract not only male employees. Besides that, we focused on the pillar family and flexibility and led several interviews with part-time working directors in our member space, so at CGI. I have to admit that there are not a lot of these members who are working in a part-time job and being a director, so being in a management role. But we found some and talked to them and wanted to figure out whether there is a constraint to balance both family and career. So the target is to create a model which is applicable for all people located at CGI, to being able to reconciling the private interests and also the career interests, and thought that we could find initial steps where we could optimize and where we could derive approaches from during our interviews. So we are also excited to see what outcomes we will find here and what approaches will be the result. For example, job sharing is one idea. Besides those initiatives, we started to talk to other groups at CGI who are concentrating on the topic of diversity and integration. So it's not only our girl gang, but across Germany, we have several initiatives focusing on this topic, and we started to exchange because we think and we truly believe that it's really important to find synergies and to work together for a common target. What we figured out during our journey during the last 3 months is that it's important to become aware of the remaining inequalities, even though CGI is really doing a good job and we are focusing diversity and inclusion. There's still a way to improve, as always, and especially with respect to same chances and opportunities. And we discovered there's a huge need to not limit diversity to the share of male and female workers. This is more something we found out for ourselves and not for CGI itself, because CGI is also focusing on diversity in general. But this is why we defined diversity for us as an enrichment that unites individuals completely independent of dimensions as ethnicity, gender, sexual orientations, physical abilities, but also, and I think this is a very important point, age and socioeconomic status, because we often forget those points when talking about diversity. So, as mentioned before, our target or our main target is to create an environment where everyone can explore differences in a positive and nurturing way. An environment that enables understanding and enforces tolerance. And from a corporate point of view, we are quite far here. As Thomas mentioned in the beginning, CGI appreciates diversity and integration and knows about the benefits of having a diverse workforce. So, for example, we truly believe that having same chances and the possibility to bring the own potential is known as one of the success factors for delivering the most creative and most innovative results to our clients. This is also a reason why Germany, why CGI is part of or committed to the German Diversity Charter. It's an initiative to promote diversity, fairness, and tolerance. So Lisa will explain in detail why diversity is the key for all of us to success. Right now, I guess.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Steffi. Thank you so much for giving that introduction into what we did with the Girl Gang. Let me now round that up and tell you, so Steffi told you a lot about what we did internally, but what we obviously also did was diving deeper and deeper into the topic of feminism, and coming with that also diversity. So just a few numbers. I think Thomas already, he gave you the perfect words regarding that. Diverse teams are more successful and more fun to work with in the beginning. But statistics are also confirming that. So 95% of all directors in companies agree that a diverse perspective is always enriching decisions. And 84% even say that this is improving board performance. On the other side, you can see the 21%. And that is a super important number because the companies that are also already really, really strong in gender diversity and diversity in general and inclusion in their executive boards are likely to perform 21% stronger on their EBIT margin than companies that are not as strong in diversity yet. So confirming what Thomas said in the beginning. But diving into the diversity and inclusion topic, we also found a lot of images. And I wanted to show you some here because this is strong. And this is what we see everywhere right now. By the way, at this point, happy Pride Month, because I think all of you already noticed all the rainbows in social media and in the world in general right now, because the whole world is celebrating Pride right now, which is so beautiful. You can see it in a lot of campaigns. We have some of them here. But not only pride is celebrated, you also see more diverse women in campaigns. You see really diverse models. Here, for example, I mean, I told you my story, This is Beautiful for Me, for example. You see a model with Down syndrome posing for a Zalando campaign. You see women with different religious backgrounds and showing their religious symbols, like the hijab from Adidas that brought out a hijab for sports for women. So the whole world is moving into that direction. And this is what we also learned during our journey diving into feminism and diversity. Maybe to get that really straight and to remind you, because today, especially because of Pride Month, you can see so many diverse models out there. Just a little reminder, looking at Douglas, for example. So Douglas started, let's say pre-pandemic, because that's quite a good time frame today to compare things to. Pre-pandemic, Douglas had campaigns like this. You see really beautiful, but also very polished and photoshopped even models that are flawless, that look perfect, and that give certainly resonate with the current standard of beauty. The campaign that I'm showing you now is the campaign that Douglas currently has in place. It's called Let's Do Beautiful, and it's totally not only focusing on the outside anymore of people, but more also on the inside. So this is the Do Beautiful campaign. As you can see, there are models that are not only polished and that are not only resonating with the very common standards of beauty that we have today. So you see models with disabilities, you see models with different conditions, you see models within all the spectrums of diversity and inclusion that we have, which I personally believe is really, really beautiful. You also see it in the text that are written on the images. Beautiful skin tells heroic stories, or beautiful faces don't judge. So we're not only focusing on the outside anymore, and we don't only think that the outside is beautiful, but also the inside of people is beautiful. And for me personally, it's even the most important part of beauty within a woman. So yes, Douglas is still selling beauty products, and you still see the makeup and the lipstick and the eyeshadow and the nail polish here, but it's coming with a totally different message. Looking at all of this, we thought, well, how can we be a girl gang? And there's so much more out there, and we talked to a lot of people. And as Steffi already said, we saw that it's not only about women, but it's about everyone being included. And we thought if Douglas can do it to sell a lipstick, we should also do it within the CGI Girl Gang. And this is the story of how we are right now evolving from a girl gang to the gang. And I'm super proud to introduce the core values that we want to address with the gang with you. And the gang is really a place where not only women are important, but everyone within every spectrum of diversity and inclusion is important for the growth of CGI and for the success of CGI. So you can see the sign language letters here forming the word grow. So first of all, it is important for us to gain understanding on the topic. So this is what you see. We started to deal with this. We want to understand, what does diversity mean? What does inclusion mean? What are other companies doing? What are other people doing? How can we get into the topic, and how can we make a contribution? The second letter, the R, means reflect. So we want to think about, what are we doing today in our personal, but also as a corporation, in our behavior, and how can we change that in the future accordingly. The O is a really, really important part, because it's about opening up and speaking out. Because yes, it's nice if you know what you are doing wrong, but as I love to say, in these times today, you cannot be unpolitical. You have to not just accept all kinds of people, but you have to also speak up for them, and you also have to be an ally in the world that we live in today. So yeah, the message we want to contribute here is be open for anyone that comes your way. Celebrate all the aspects of every individual woman and human that we have. and speak out for them and be an ally and support them. The last letter, the grow, the V, means welcome and embrace. So it means exactly that. Make everyone feel welcome. I think this is also super important for us as a company. Make everyone feel welcome, celebrate all variations that we all have and all individual characters and outsides that we all have, and embrace that. So not only show it, but also embrace who you are and who others are, and really see that. And this is what Thomas said, to round it up again, to see that as an asset that we all bring into a company. As famous drag queen from the US, RuPaul says, if you can't love yourself, how the hell you're gonna love somebody else? So this is important for all of us. Thanks a lot. So this is the story. You see, we evolved a lot from a women network to a girl gang, and today to a gang. You see how much we learned, but we also see that there's still so much we need to learn, and there's still such a long way we need to go if we want to become a true gang, and if we want to really celebrate all aspects of diversity within our little area in CGI. And now comes a company that has already gone most of the way and has already been on that journey. So I'm really happy to say welcome, Mars. Welcome, Alina and Christine. We're really happy to have you. And I'm excited to listen to what comes next for us and what you already went through. So I'm happy for you to take over.
Thank you. Thank you. So very glad to be here. Let's then kick off the Mars part of the journey, let's say. The first thing I wanted to start with is when we started to talk about that thing, that story, that journey, that topic in the company, it immediately created a huge amount of hype all over it. And not only the good hype, but also the bad hype about the fact that, okay, that's just some new shiny thing that will go away. And when we were talking to the people, one of the things that worked well to break the hype and start to talk really openly about the topic is to start with our personal stories, to tell why the inclusion and diversity actually matters so much for us. So I think that makes sense to start with the same thing here. Let me then start with my personal story about how do I connect to the inclusion and diversity topic, besides obviously the Pride Month and the nice t-shirts that I had from the shop this month. So when I joined Mars, that was not my first job, obviously. I already had a tough experience being gay in Russia and being fired for being gay once. And when I was joining the company, during these first few days when I've been in, I started to hear the perception that got created when I was on the assessment. And people were saying three things about me when I joined. And those things were, and that's in the exact order because that's so much funny. She wears suspenders, she want to write a book, and she's gay. And I was like, God damn it, I probably will not stay here for a long time because that started there already, like first few days. And obviously I was very anxious, and there was a lot of fear all around me in all my talks, all my discussions with colleagues, and all my actions. I was like looking over my shoulder, waiting for someone to come to me and say, yeah, you know, that's not okay. So yeah, you need to find something else. Couple of months passed in this mood. My line manager started to notice that something's going wrong. She approached me saying, I seem off, and asking what's going on. And it took me like an hour to say what actually was not okay, what I was thinking, what I was feeling at that moment. She was silent, I think, for quite a solid minute. And then she said, is that it? That's all? I mean, that's nothing. Nobody cares. the fact that people are looking at you is because you're experiencing yourself weirdly. You look weird, you look anxious, you look bad, and they start to feel the tension. Just stop doing that. Nobody cares, really, and that helped. That message is what just got through me, and I started to see the team, the hub, the department that I worked in different direction and from different angle. I actually saw that they're laughing with me. They're not expecting me to like become someone else or something like that. That helped, and ever since there were a huge amount of very funny stories about me being not like anybody else in the team, and that was always a benefit, always a moment to turn the situation a little bit and to look at it from a different angle. So yeah, that's the background that gives us something to start with. Hey, Christine, I'll pass over to you.
Thank you, Alina. So as you understood, and I think Lisa and Steffi said it as well, all starts with our own story. So I will tell you mine before moving to what at Mars we are doing. So my story is closely related also to the region where I'm living. I'm living in Alsace, and I had the chance to have grandparents who did both world wars. So being one German and one French. Yeah. So one of my grandfathers had a grocery shop in Strasbourg during the Second World War, and he gave lots of food to eat to people who could even not pay it. He was speaking German, an approximative French, but also Yiddish, since the population at that time was culturally completely diverse and religion-wise too. He was helping also Jewish people during the Second World War while making sure that he could protect his wife and the 3 kids. When I was born, I had the luck to still have those grandparents. My native language was not French, but Alsatian, which is a dialect between French and German, and some invented words in the middle. It's a dialect. Hence, when I came to school at 5, I did not speak French, like half of my classmates, and we learned French at school. This story is very important because it's the one that shaped me, how I am today. Whether it's with my family or friends at work, I take a special attention to be curious about others, understand their story, being empathetic. I'm curious about all cultures as well. And I know since ever that other differences can only benefit to my own curiosity and open my mind to new adventures and new reflections. I reflected on myself when the words inclusion and diversity were coming to life some years back. And basically, I believe that since ever diversity is part of my DNA. Being a woman in the IT space for much longer than Lisa, Steffi, and Alina, historically, only men are at the leadership team levels. And asking around me a few years back, there was no appetite from women to break this sailing glass, to even try to move up. And that was 5 to 7 years ago. So it's very recent, basically. I read articles around performing companies. It was not without diversity at the top. And that was said as well by Thomas at the beginning of the today's day. So my idea was to start to change something, not only about gender, but also other dimensions. So at the hub, Mars Hub IT site where I am, next to Strasbourg, we had 13 different nationalities, not at the top. So I presented the idea to the leadership team and found other colleagues passionate about the subject. Like Lisa and Steffi explained it, we did the same some years back. Yeah, I got sponsorship to move on, and that's key to have sponsorship. Today, I'm championing this IND topic since more than 5 years at my hub. And you will understand that in the coming slides that at Mars, it's a very important topic, and it's part basically of the overall strategy of Mars. So that's about my story. So I invite Lisa to move to the next slide. Alina?
Yep. So just as we were brought to the inclusion and diversity topic, Mars was brought to this topic one day as well. But when we started our journey there, we realized, and we started to understand that's not new for us. And looking into the roots that we had, the 5 principles that were found in the company, we found a lot of the inclusion and diversity sparkles there. And that actually was really reassuring on this journey of understanding where we lay on this line from 0 to 100, let's say. That actually helped people to find what they already were doing for quite some time to be inclusive for their teams, for their departments, for their colleagues, for their work groups, and not starting from scratch. So at some point, as you can see, like on the slide, we reached into ourselves, finding these values, and actually understanding that it's not something that we need to build right now. It's something that we need to start doing consciously right now, that we need to start speak about right now, because we need to be heard and we need to hear other people when they're saying about inclusion, because that's what creates the space to be free, to be who you are, and to be open and creative and bring more value as you naturally can, being yourself and not spending any force and any energy on masking who you are. Yep. So the outcome of the workshops, of the long thinking of who we are, what we want to do, is actually the mission that we have, and how it relates to the inclusion and diversity, and the fact that the world we want tomorrow is inclusive and diverse, and we want to step in and do something to get there. Yeah. And I think Christian will hand over to you, and we'll go to the next slide.
Thank you, Alina, for that. So basically, I think Thomas touched based on that at the beginning. Delivering an effective and comprehensive I&D strategy is not only the right thing to do, but it's also good for our business. So when you look at researches, it reinforces the strong linkage between I&D, inclusion and diversity, we call it I&D at Mars, and numerous measures of business performance. So a recent study from Deloitte, for example, found that companies that manage an inclusive and diverse culture are twice as likely to meet or exceed financial targets, 3 times as likely to be high performing. They are innovative and agile, and Thomas mentioned it at the beginning of the journey as well. And they are 8 times more likely to achieve better business outcomes. So the research also looked at the power of inclusive leadership. Inclusive leaders led to a 70% increase in feeling of fairness, respect, value, and belonging from their teams, which led to increase in team performance, in decision-making, quality decision-making, in team collaboration as well. As we look at inclusion, we want to ensure our employees, who are called associates at Mars, are able to reach their full potential, and that they are successful at Mars. We also want to attract and retain the best diverse talents for Mars. So for the business, as a recap of that slide deck, I would say it's important for the growth of the company, for the innovation, to have diverse talents, to get the best talents. We cannot just look at half of the talents in front of us, and for the reputation of the company. That leads me to the last slide. You can put them all together if you don't mind. Thanks very much. So basically, inclusion and diversity, as I said, we think about it since a long time, but really the strategy has been deployed and said only end of last year. And we said a strategy cannot work without measures. Yeah. So based on data, certain demographic groups within Mars are underrepresented versus the external market for talents, or within our specific management or senior leadership groups. So we do have 3 main bold goals, I would say, for 2025. So the first one is gender balance at leadership team. And we measure that with data. Yeah. We want to be inclusive. What does that mean? We measure that through engagement survey. So we use Gallup as an engagement survey, and we do have questions that help us to, so that help each employee to enter his positioning, both for inclusion and for diversity. And this last one, which is workforce representation, we need in all markets around the globe at Mars to represent the country in which we operate. It will be easier with interaction with customers and vendors, but also local engagement of all employees. So that ends our presentation of today about Mars. We have much more to say, but not enough time, I would say. And basically, something which is very important, and I will leave you on that reflection, is don't forget your own story. It's very important. Be yourself. And something very important is that diversity is a fact, but inclusion is a choice.
That is really, really powerful. Thank you so much, Christine. Thank you so much, Alina. Thank you for sharing your stories and also giving us an insight on how Mars is already mastering what we as the gang at CGI here in Düsseldorf want to accomplish one day. So thank you. Thanks a lot for giving that image.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure.
Perfect. Yeah, we still have some time, as I said in the beginning. Let's talk from the audience. Do you have questions? Do you want to talk with us about the topics, about our personal stories, or also share something? Yeah, we are excited for the conversation with all of you.
Yes, the first question arrived the chat. And the first question is, dear speakers, thank you so much for opening our eyes today. That was very enlightening. For our audience, what do you recommend to kick off a diversity movement if in their companies? Maybe even if the culture is not very open.
I can take that if you don't mind. So I give you the example of what we did at Mars, because we started our journey with discussions. So we had a discussion really about, we started with explore our own story. That's what we did today with you, and try to understanding the other ones. But as well, we had some workshop about biases and filters. What does that mean? Because you cannot just, when you recruit people, work with your own biases. Yeah. So we all have biases, and it's nothing wrong about that, but you need to be conscious about yourself. So what we do is we have a framework that we call I, you, and we. The I is all about exploration of ourself, our story, our biases, our filters, understanding then how others are, yeah, and understanding, for example, if somebody is extrovert or introvert, how to act, how to open up. This you call it a gang. I believe we are ourselves. We are a group of people, and basically it's opening the group of people. But we need as well that the other ones are open to come and to join the group. Yeah. So for me, all the kickoff starts by yourself, by a mindset change, and the goal is really in 5 years we should not speak about inclusion and diversity anymore. It should be embedded. So what is as well very powerful and sometimes easy to put in place, you have this woman gang starting at CGI Germany, but you could simply as well have other gangs. So having LGBT gangs, having, I don't know, senior gangs or junior gangs, because it's not easy. I'm older than you girls, but the thing is, it's not easy as well for older people and younger people to be included. So for me, all starts with ourselves and with our behavior and what we really want intentionally to do. Does that respond to the question?
So yes,
yes, and I strongly agree. I think we all should start to question our our biases and reflect our unconscious biases, especially. Yes.
And another question arrived. I just want to congratulate and thank you for this session. even if it's still an initial step or early stage in initiative. It's absolutely great seeing you, how you manage to engage male allies to make sure you can promote a real change of the status quo in the mid-long term.
Thank you so much for that feedback.
And the next in the chat is, not embracing diversity might be rooted in a deep fear. How can we take away this fear from those who still try to suppress minorities?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's a question, but the only answer I see is through education. The fear may be even generational, but the education is what changing things. Girls told already about that today, that even in the family with history of like not a lot of people having high education and the career, that can be a lot of fear to step out and do something differently, but that works and that brings the difference. So
Yeah, I think it's important to always start with yourself. So yeah, question your own behavior, educate yourself, and then bring that to others, and be the change you want to see in the world. And then yeah, educate others, talk to others, speak up for others, be an ally. I think that's also super important today. And then start the change step by step.
And I would add something else, which is as well, you spoke about tolerance before, Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would go even further, which is acceptance.
Yeah.
So it's acceptance. And if you listen something which is not good around you, you should not be silent. Yeah. Because silence means that you are accepting what's happening. And that's very difficult to do sometimes. But I really encourage you to think about that whenever you see some non-good things happening, that you step in by questioning, not by aggressing, always questioning people and making them reflect. Aggressing will not help. It will put you in a corner, whereas making people think, always asking why, can help. I personally try to do it. Even sometimes it's not easy, but I try to do it at work, at home, everywhere. It's a muscle. So again, at Mars, what we say, being inclusive, it's a muscle. And we do have various muscles like trust, being curious about others, like listening, empathy, and cultural differences. All that needs to be worked on every day. Like if you go to the gym and work on your muscle, those are muscles that we need to work on. And it's our choice. Huh? It's not others' choice.
Perfect. Thank you. Were there any more questions or remarks that you want to share with us?
Myself, I think it was a pleasure for us to be there today. Thanks for inviting us, and it was really insightful to understand as well on which journey you are. And I believe you are on the right track. You need to go for that, and you need. I guess you have great sponsorship as well, because sponsorship is a key. Without sponsorship, you are not going to succeed. So that's key, and well done, girls.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for participating, and we are looking forward for the further exchange, because we think we could learn a lot what you are already doing.
So with great pleasure. Great pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. As I said, I think we still have to learn a lot, but that is really appreciated. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you to all our sponsors. Shout out to Bernd. And yeah, I would say if there are no further questions, we can end the presentation today. Thank you so much.
and have a nice 2 days then workshop together. It was nice for the introduction, was a good idea at least.
Thank you.
Agree. Thank you all.
Thanks.
Have a great day.
Have a great
Bye-bye.
day. Bye.
Have a great 2 days. Bye-bye.
Bye.